each time I was giving the name of someone I was willing to interview, my colleague from Hong Kong always replied, "In jail, in jail, in jail." Hong Kong Law and Order is a 40-minute look at this small Chinese territory that used to be a symbol of freedom in China, but who is now facing a severe crackdown from the Chinese Communist Party. Since the implementation of the National Security Law in 2020, liberties in Hong Kong have been eroded. There is no more freedom of assembly in Hong Kong, there is no more freedom of press, there is no more freedom of expression.
This law was extremely effective. It brought back law and order, peace and stability in Hong Kong.
I've been covering the situation in Hong Kong for almost 10 years, so I have many contacts into the pro-democracy movement, and what really struck me is that people who used to speak in front of my camera 5 years ago were no longer keen to testify openly.
It's dangerous to speak, especially speak in the foreign media. There is no more freedom of press in Hong Kong. It's dangerous to me. So I won't give such a conclusion on that. But I will say the room and the space is diminished, smaller and smaller.
Several people I interviewed in Hong Kong from the democracy camp made the comparison between the current situation in Hong Kong and the novel 1984 by George Orwell. Truth doesn't exist anymore. The past and the history is rewritten so that it matches the narrative of Beijing. The police is asking people to report on each other.
If we find people violating the national security law, we report them. You might think we see ourselves as vigilantes, but you'd be wrong. We're simply fulfilling our duty as citizens.
One of the people I was supposed to interview canceled the interview the day before we were supposed to film him, so I had to find someone to replace him. Each time I was giving the name of someone I was willing to interview, my colleague from Hong Kong always replied, "In jail, in jail, in jail." And when the people I mentioned was not in jail, he was in exile. The sequence which struck me the most happened in the UK with Finlaw, with a pro-democracy activist in exile in the UK. There is a bounty on his head of 100,000 euro. If he goes back to Hong Kong today, he will be sent behind bars.
History will somehow repeat itself. I believe the Chinese Communist Party will fall just like the Soviet Union. So if you've got a time machine, go back to maybe say 40 years ago, if you tell people that the Soviet Union would collapse, people would say you are insane. But in the end, we know the history.
The people who are in exile still believe and still have hope that Hong Kong will become the free society that they dreamed of before the implementation of the National Security Law and before the new takeover which has been done by Beijing.